Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Global Resources for Men. I'm your host, Elysia Buss, and today I have the great privilege of bringing you to Andre Lam. He
Mm.
does incredible work helping lead men and women to really live authentically in relation. And yeah, he does men's work facilitation and so much more. I'm actually going to let him just choose all the glorious things he gets to share with you. But today we are going to be talking about men's work and relationships. Andre, thank you so much for being with us
Mm.
today.
Yeah, a pleasure to be here with you, Alicia. Yeah, but the piece that I find myself in is, being a guide, as I have guides myself. Guiding men and women to be in touch with their humanity, to be more in touch with themselves, to uncover the social conditioning, programming, all that jazz, to be more authentic living from the inside out in relation to myself and others around me. So,
Powerful and very important work. Thank you for the work that you do.
yeah.
And speaking of the work that you do, like what was an obstacle that you experienced in life that really brought you to doing men's work?
Yeah, the obstacle was like feeling insecure, like
Mm,
not having a model to show up in a way that's authentic to myself versus what it means to be a man or an Asian man or a Canadian Asian man. For all my life, I've lived, in the shadow of my parents and others. Never had a space to play and cultivate the signature of who I am. It was
mm,
like, I got to be this particular way. And so that being modeled, I had to kind of shed all that layering and programming. And over time, I found myself to be lighter. There's a lot more sense of peace,
yeah,
fulfillment, and meaning. A lot more compassion for myself. A lot more humility and acceptance of others. And I find like peace on earth really starts with myself, right? Of how I treat myself, how do I talk to myself, and that requires me to look at myself in the mirror and do
yeah,
that inner work. Yeah, and integrate those pieces and letting go of things. And there's so much there, so many entry points, and all of them are valid. There's a
yeah.
thousand ways to climb the mountain, and they're all valid. And to come to the truth of who I am and how I want to show up in this world in a life giving way. And what my mentor says, thriving life, that contributes to
Mm,
life thriving. Yeah.
I love that. When you talk about like your journey, did you start with like reading books or like how did that beginning piece go and like looking for people and asking for help those first few times?
Yeah. I went down the normal track of like, go to school, get a job, work a career. So I was in the corporate world for 12 years, climbed the corporate ladder. And at the time, it took a layoff. And during that time, I was unhappy. I just didn't
Yeah,
know how to express it other than work for the weekend or take vacations or
sure.
using substances, distractions to, just ease
Yeah.
that off. Work hard, play hard mentality. And when I got laid off, I felt like it was like a get out of jail free card. And at that time, I was so attracted to sales because there was a piece of like feeling insecure in myself because I didn't know who I was.
Yeah.
So there wasn't any rootedness or groundedness to that. And it's as if I was a follower by default, and when I saw
Mm,
salespeople and they were leading, there's this charismatic confidence. I always say if I see someone I admire and then that means I recognize it in myself where we're just
oh, I
mirrors for
love
each
that.
other. Totally, right? And the opposite is true too. If someone aggravates me, it's a quality within me that I haven't actually looked at, right? And integrated for myself.
Also fair.
Yep. Humbling. So sales was like, if I knew, I would have started that way, way earlier. It was kind of like a personal development journey on its own. And that
Mm,
invited me in the world of self-help, the world of Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins, John Maxwell, just the motivational gurus, Les Brown. And I just never really stopped. For the first time in my life, it kind of gave me a chance of life. Like there was a hand up. Growing up, it was more like I wasn't good enough. You
yeah.
should do this. And living based on other people's expectations. So in a way, I thought I was enslaved. Like my mind was kind of programmed to wait for instruction.
Yeah.
I couldn't take responsibility in my life because I didn't know that was available. So with
Mm,
self-help, it opened up my eyes that wait a minute, I can actually create my own life. I can actually think for myself. A big program that I had to unravel was, I didn't have my own opinions or thoughts.
mm,
Like growing up in Asian culture, one thing is I couldn't talk back, especially to my elders. So for a
Yeah.
long time, I was kind of mute and just accepted what they said was truth. And this was then projected onto my future supervisors and bosses. I gave literally my power away. I didn't
Yeah.
realize I was unconscious, right? Just that was what I knew in ways of relating to people was just, can I please? Can I be nice? And then in turn, you then take care of me. So this people
Mm.
pleasing nice guy, right? Program that was running. So with sales, it gave me the opportunity to learn what I want and then go apply it, go check it out, and then start shaping my life by design. And that was a sense of inner power. Like I find a lot of this work is when I'm disconnected, when I'm depressed or anxious, there's a sense of disconnection from my own inner power that I do have choice
Yeah.
and I do have the ability to change my life. How can I resource that agency back within myself, right? Give myself that power to then, okay, let's make a choice to move forward to better my life.
I love
Yeah.
that. Giving agency back to yourself. There's
Yeah.
something that you clicked in there in regards to the Asian culture and like respecting your elders and not talking back to your elders. There's so much to unpack there, I think, in
Mm.
regards to like as we age, this idea of our elders having wisdom to pass on is breaking apart. And how do we find that balance of reintegrating like that connection with our elders, that we can have conversations with them, that they don't shut us down, that we do have a voice, but we can also honor the wisdom that they have to give us. And even if that's just like somebody's 10 years your elder, like 10 years developmentally and like with life experience can do a lot, especially if somebody's regularly working on themselves. But that age gap sometimes between like 36 to 46, even there's a bit of ego, I think, that gets stuck into like, I'm just picking an arbitrary number, that
Mm.
you can get stuck in. And you're like, well, you're only 46. Like, I'm not immature. I'm not like, I don't need to listen to you. Like, it's not that big of a gap, right? And
Mm.
so I think it's an interesting conversation. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think I can learn from anyone. I kind of moved away from like this piece of like only respecting people that have experience. For a long time when
Hmm.
I began a coach, I'm like, why would I get coaching from you when you're 18 years old? Right? There was a judgment there on ageism.
Yeah,
And I realized I can actually learn from an 18-year-old. Like there's generational gaps and differences in how we look at things. And this is part of me being accepting, right?
yeah,
Coming back to this place of like, let me get to know what your struggles and challenges are in your perspective, because this helps make me more well-rounded. In terms of
right.
elders, like I lacked it. Like, in a way of being for me, being afraid of my father and mother, I was terrified of them growing up. I was a firstborn child. They had me in their early 20s. So it's like the first mistakes, right? And there was a lot of
Yeah,
inexperience with that too. And I took it on, right? Even though we have the same parents, I have a little brother and a little sister, my parents changed as well, right?
yeah.
We're different people, my brother, myself, my sister, but also my parents is also different.
Such
And
a
the
great point.
circumstances, right? And the suit that we're in, the culture is also different as well. So there's just naming that, right? And
Yeah.
and so this fear of my parents, I never had like a role model or a mentor or father figure that I admire that would rise me
Yeah.
up. I figured things on my own.
Yeah.
And for a long time, I didn't trust people. I kept it to myself because I was fearful of looking stupid or making a mistake. I should have this figured out or I should have this together. The looking
God,
good
I've lived that.
program. Yeah. Right. Who resonates with that? Right.
Right?
And it's humbling to start unpacking that. And now, like, forgiving, and there's a lot of grief work
Yeah.
with that, of letting go of this prototypical father archetype that I projected onto my father that I was so resentful for a long time. I was so angry at them, and the way I was around them, my energy, the way I was talking, how I was short with them. That's what I got back from them too.
Yeah.
And there was a shift at one point where I started to become grateful, like actually genuinely feeling in my body what they've given me. And this acceptance of
Mm,
like they did the best they could. And we hear that in pop psychology, right? Of like
sure.
they did the best they could, right? But really like connecting with that. Yeah, like my parents came from Vietnam as refugees from the war. They came with nothing and they built a life for me here in Canada. So there's a lot for me to be appreciative. They taught me about loyalty, consistency, hard work, and discipline. And so even though they didn't have these pieces, because I find that being a parent, like I can never be perfect, right? It's as if like
Right.
still trying to figure out. And there's pieces where my child, my kid is going to be angry with me about. It's always going to be like that, right? So it's like, can I just see my parents, doing the best they could? Because deep down, I know
Yeah.
the love is there, and I had to grieve of letting go of this archetype of this perfect father for me, and then actively search that from other men in my life. And this is where men's works come in. This is where I needed to then actively search out those I resonate with that had life experience, or put
Yeah.
myself in circles where someone's not declaring themselves an elder, but they're seen as an elder based on how they show up and their
Yeah.
energy and their stories that they share. Like, ooh, I want to be around this person. So actively doing that. And also with my parents coming in, and there's a degree of safety here, because in my judgment, my parents aren't doing the inner work, right? They're
Right.
still maybe preaching how things were back in Vietnam, and saying that's how things work and it should work here too, right? Which maybe some of it is true and some of it's not, but
Right.
to come with some curiosity and also be aware there's levels of authenticity and having discernment. It's not like, hey, mom, dad, I'm going to share everything and hope that you don't judge me or criticize me, because there's still that critical part. I remember growing
Sure.
out my hair, my facial hair, and my mom's like, why are you looking like a hobo, homeless person? Shave that off, right? I'm like, okay, thanks, mom. And I just have this compassion of like, I know where she's coming from. This face
Yeah.
of having looking good, looking proper, right? And then just being okay. Let me see what's underneath that. Well, her judgment of me is caring for a beautiful need, which is she cares for me to belong, to be
Yeah.
accepted, to
That's
not be
beautiful.
judged by other people. Because that's her
Yeah.
paradigm, right? Growing up, that you have to look a certain way or else you get ostracized. So coming in with that, like having discernment of what to share, and then gathering information of their history, being curious. Because yes, my lineage is kind of cut off. I was born in Canada. Um, I knew my grandparents. There was a language barrier of Vietnamese and Cantonese for Chinese, and I just didn't have the opportunity to get that knowledge and history, right? So I'm getting
Yeah.
it now from my parents with this level of maturity that I have, getting bits and pieces of those stories of being curious,
Yeah.
so I can re-relate with them, uh, carry back what they've known, or the lessons they've taught, but then having discernment of what I share. Now, with the men I actively choose to be my father figures or my mentors, I feel more safe to share deeper layers of myself that I'm currently working on and getting their perspective, right? So knowing who has fruit in the tree, discernment
Right.
matters. Yeah.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing all those pieces. I
Mm,
really like so much of what I'm taking away from that is no matter what the age is in either direction, it is great for all of us to be humble and strive to have neutral curiosity of what each party can bring to the table, regardless of level of maturity, but just
mm.
holding a sacred container within the space of listening.
Yeah, and it's a practice, right? And sometimes I'm not curious, I'm activated, right? There's a charge, right? And that's an invitation for me. Like, why am I getting activated here? Based on this person's perspective, and it's something for me to look at. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Like something that my friends and I strive to do is just like when we are feeling activated, that we honor ourselves and the relationship by walking away until we're able, like we name it. We're just like, I'm upset right now. And like sometimes we even have to hang up the phone on each other in like very rare occasions, but we have an understanding that if that happens, we always circle back, right?
Mm.
To apologize, to acknowledge, to make amends, to go to the root of why something happened and to heal it. Um, yeah, I
Yeah,
think
I
that's
love how
important.
like this certainty of knowing that we will come back. I mean, that's a key cornerstone of my relationship with my beloved is, our ability to come back. And that
Yeah.
creates that safety, right? Of like my mentor says, going through a tough time and coming out the other side okay over and over again. And that's a way of building secure relating.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's just like you don't let yourself to continue to push into to the space where in that activated space that you're disrespectful, right? That you're mean, that you're antagonistic in any way. Just like, oh, I feel myself tipping out of my highest self. I need to take radical personal accountability and walk away until I can take like be emotionally regulated and then come
Mm,
back into the conversation with the intention to understand, to convey my experience, to heal if that's what I desire, or to just have better understanding with clarity so you can discern to walk away if that's what's necessary, but without creating more damage, right? I
mhm.
think the more we can foster that, the better.
Yeah. Truly everybody sucks at conflict, right?
I don't know very many people that are great about it, but it's
Right.
something
And
for
you know
us
what's being
all to be
passed
like,
down.
how much can I not be an asshole right now? Like,
Yeah, like when my fight flight's on, my amygdala's on, it's like let's go time. It's war, right? It's
right?
survival. Like, no way. I'm not looking at Ursa. I'm taking care of me. And that's okay. Like just that's the normal, it's not a personal failing. It's just a realization that's how I'm programmed and wired as well. But then knowing that I do suck at conflict, there's a need for agreements and principles up front, but just like you said, right? How do we
Yeah,
fight more fair? How do we
yeah.
know that we're gonna come back? Because
Run away if you
hey,
need to, and then come back after.
100%.
Just run. Be
Right.
like, can't talk anymore. Gotta run
Peace
away.
out. I'm out. I'm gonna ghost. And then
Gonna go.
maybe the next edge is okay, I'm gonna ghost and I'll come back in a couple days. Maybe instead of a
Yeah,
month, a couple weeks,
yeah,
and then a couple
yeah,
days. And then maybe in the moment, like what does it look like for me to stay in the heat of the moment when I want to
yeah.
run away, right? And it's progression
Right.
because I do want to do it skillfully, right? Though to get to skillfully, I got to be messy. So to give myself permission to do it unskillfully, and can I do it with someone that's not gonna like use that against me, right? That's piece of
Right.
safety, right?
Yeah.
If I were to share something deep and vulnerable about something, and when someone then uses it, oh, does it ever hurt? Oh, does it ever close the walls?
Yeah. Just like, hey, do you have the capacity to hold me right now? Because like sometimes we do. We do have the capacity. We can sit those big feelings with some people. Sometimes like
Mm.
we had a rough day too, and we're like, no, definitely not. If you bring this to me right now, like I'm gonna react really poorly. Like I want to be there for you, but I don't have it in me. And like I think that when we can just honor that in any of our relationships as friends, as lovers, as family, like then things can just like give each other the grace. Like none of us are perfect. Like it's going to be messy sometimes, but if we can just be honest, I think that's a great place to start.
Yeah, and sometimes it's I don't might not have the language or I'm not used to sharing that because I'm so
Yeah.
used to anticipating other people's needs and not speaking my needs. So how do we become experts on each other? And this comes from Stan Tacken of like tuning into each other's nervous system and then being like, okay, while this person's learning the language and getting the practice of speaking their needs more often, I can also anticipate it by guessing, right? Or doing a capacity check. I know when my beloved comes in and something's off, and vice versa. She can read my energy without even me saying a word, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how do we tune into that and just anticipate by just guessing, but not relying on that, right? It just
Yeah.
providing some more space versus, oh, I want you to know what I need, right? Coming from that place of like mind reading.
We're not supposed to be mind readers. That's so weird.
Oh, right? Just totally outsourcing it, right? 100%. And that's painful.
It definitely can be. And we are talking a lot about relationships right now. So do you want to talk a little bit more about like the relationships in regards to the men's work that we brought in
Mhm.
today?
Yeah, for sure. Relationships, wow.
Just
Like
like
I'll
weave in
first
and
start
out.
with, yeah, that myself, right? As I kind of look at myself, like I truly believe that everything is connected. Like as beloved, so below, so within, so without. That I'm in the soup. That I'm
Mm,
connected to the the breath, the air, the sun, the trees all around me. Like I'm in an ecosystem here. So to realize that I'm separate, it's like who am I when I'm separate? Am I really separate? So I think myself, and this is my belief right now,
mhm.
is in relation to others around me or my environment. It's influenced by that. If you take
Sure.
me out from Edmonton and put me in Portugal, for example, myself can orient and change as well. And you could say, there's different layers of it. And I'm calling my
Mhm.
core self is just influenced by my environment, is what I'm saying. And so I believe relationships is everything because it does impact how I perceive,
Sure.
even with myself. and my persona, my mask, or what I choose to wear. So I just want to start with that is everything's relationships, literally, even if it's kind of practical, like, am I really by myself when I'm, enjoying the electricity, when I go to the grocery store? Everything is provided by other human beings along the way, provided by nature.
Mhm.
We're all growing and connected together. So when I look at that, it creates this reverence that I have of appreciation of the stuff that I have, nature where I go, there's garbage, picking it up with other people because there's a mutual relationship here that your well-being contributes to my well-being, that our well-being is one of the same. And that leads to peace on earth. Because where war
Mhm.
happens is this separation that you and I are different,
Yeah,
that you're an enemy. So I'm gonna attack you. But if I know that you are part of me, why would I be attacking myself? So this is
yeah,
just a philosophy I like to orient myself because it puts me in a place of peace and compassion and go about operating my day. And I still have that survival program of like when I'm triggered or activated, it's like, nope, I'm separate. And that's okay. It's just a
yeah,
realization when I do get there, how do I get back into connection?
right. Because you're like, when I'm separate, I'm safe. I can control things, but when I'm connected, then I have to risk, and then I'm not
Mm,
in control anymore.
yeah. Yeah. And connection can be connection to myself.
Hmm.
If I'm not safe with the people around me, going off to a separate room, how do I cultivate a practice to connect, self connect, to give myself empathy, to get
Yeah, I
resource?
think that's really important to talk about too, because like when we have limiting beliefs or self-sabotage that's like we're deeply immersed in, or we're speaking really poorly to ourselves, like then that relationship to self becomes unsafe,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
And then like we just clutter it. And that's why doing the work, the interpersonal work, so that we can be honest with ourselves and we can ask for the support for what's going on internally, then we can create that healthier, more functional and safe relationship to self.
Hmm. Yeah. And it's a stair step, right? As I learn these
Yeah.
tools and have it being modeled, a big piece for me is like if I don't feel safe being me or sharing, it's like I also include a story that like being authentic is dangerous, right?
Yeah,
It
for
equals
sure.
rejection. Or what I learn is well, authenticity and being vulnerable with unsafe people is rejection, but actually being vulnerable with safe people equals belonging. So how do
Yeah.
I then attract or find people that are on the same journey as me? Why do I find people in men's work and relational work, people that want to work on themselves? There's been a journey, there's been a catalyst, a crisis that invites them to then do their soul work, to then look at themselves now because of some external circumstance that's not lining up with the beliefs they had. Right? Just the prototypical story of if I get the house, I get the car, if I have all the money in the world, then I'll be happy while the
Right.
relationships around me are deteriorating. I'm divorced. I'm married 3 times. My kids hate me, et cetera, right? And we're like, oh my
Yeah.
God.
My health is failing.
Yeah. So is this going back to like, how do I then find, say, people to practice with? So then I then feel more safe. Like I have more reps and more confidence of then bringing this to my family of origin or bringing this to my drinking buddies back in the day, and then still feel more rooted because there's also a relationship of like how does this person see me? And I can see
Yeah.
how they're seeing me versus this old version of Dre, 18 years old, partying his ass off, right? Or are they seeing me as I am now?
I so love that you brought that up because I had some girlfriends over last night and we actually brought up this exact conversation about how much we have grown as people over the last like 4 or 5 years, and how some people that from our past, they have us stuck in the past.
Mm,
They cannot, it just will not permeate their brains to see us as who we are in the now,
mm,
and how you functionally navigate those things, and how you tend to just take more and more and more space from the people who don't actually see you in the now. Like we don't have to be mean to them, but it's just like if you can't truly see me in the now, then that doesn't tend to be healthy for either person because it like creates discord,
mm.
right? And it was really
Mm.
sweet, like what she was sharing, because she has two children. And like you were saying earlier about the parents, of like the parents change because her son is older, like he's in his early 20s, I think, and her daughter is 16. And he was like, yeah, mom, like you do this thing. And then like the daughter was like, no, she doesn't, because they had such different experiences developmentally with who
Right.
she's become. And
Mm.
I'm so proud of her and like how much she's grown. It's like really impressive over the last like 4 to 5 years. And it was cool to get to hear that story of how her kids were experiencing her differently. Um,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, like is there a willingness, even
Yeah.
when
Is
I
there
think of an
willingness?
old friend.
Yeah, like my brothers do not see me in the now. They have me trapped
Mm.
from like 25 years ago in their minds.
Mm.
And I was definitely much less um functional human being 25 years ago.
Me too. Yeah, absolutely. More partying for sure. Unconscious partying.
I mean, it
I
was
was
a really good time. Like, don't get me
mm,
wrong. Really good time.
yeah. It needed to happen for me. I'll speak for myself. It was an arc, right, at the time, and
Yeah.
a chapter of my life, and I wouldn't be here without that chapter. Even looking back now, it's like there's so much data and information from it, right? That like
Yeah.
even if I didn't pursue or procrastinated on what I wanted in my life, that's still information. There's still data there for me,
Yeah.
right? And I want to go back to like, how our people in the past see us as our old selves and just naming that. That's why being with family is so difficult because they know
Mm,
us since the very beginning and there's history there,
yeah.
right? And even when I think about my old friends I haven't seen in a while, right? The only image or story that I have is from my experiences of him. So
Hmm.
no wonder there's a projection already on who he is. But can I
Yeah.
connect with him? And I think just his name's coming through for me. And now I'm like, "Ah, I think I'm gonna reach out to him and just
Nice.
reconnect because I
I
haven't
love
for a
that.
while. And just be this willingness, this curiosity of like, what's up? Who are
Yeah.
you really now?
Yeah.
Versus just let's reminisce in the past and have fun of like, those times. But relating to the here and now, to who we are
Yeah.
now. And that's such a beautiful thing because I have a friend that we do this. Like we've been friends for a long time. And I'm so grateful that there's a sense of maturity and willingness to meet me who I am now and vice
Yeah.
versa. And then we get to reflect and talk about our past from a different lens. And then I share certain insecurities that I had with him or my judgments of him. And he's like totally surprised that I had this of him. But then we can talk about it and we
Yeah.
can unravel that and be like, oh, that makes sense the way you were operating then and this and that. And then we can laugh at it. And it's such rich territory and healing,
Yeah.
very healing.
It it definitely can. That just reminded me, that whole projection aspect. Many years ago, I was in New York, near Mechanicsville. I was going to spatial dynamics training, and I had gotten stranded in Saratoga Springs. And
Mm.
but like a group of us from the school I was going to had gone into town, but I had gone separately. And I got stuck there, and I had to like hitchhike back, which is
Holy.
crazy to get to do. And I came back to the school where everybody was, and there was this beautiful Asian woman there. She was just ethereal, like how she just existed in the world. Beautiful on so many different levels. We were sitting next to this lake, and I was sad and talking to her about how I felt like nobody cared. Like I was just like nobody noticed that I was gone. Nobody tried to help me. Like this happened, I had to get back. And she
Mm.
listens patiently and in this like sweet, grounded space. And she just kind of looked at me for a moment and she was like, Elysia, nobody thought to check on you because everybody thinks that you're so strong and capable.
Mm.
And it just like blew my mind in that moment. Like it had never dawned on me that people didn't check on me because they
Mm.
thought I just had it, right? Because I had just like always projected this strength and, like all these things. And like, and I am all of those things. But just because I'm strong doesn't mean I want to always have to do it on my own and that I
Mm.
don't want people to check on me. But I think it's great when we can drop into moments and truly like hear people and receive and be like, oh, that's the projection that you had. And this is the projection that I had. And
Mm,
now that I have an opening, like I can stop living into that storyline and
mm,
create more space for others to like step into in better conversations of neutrality instead of being antagonistic towards people because you have hurt feelings and be like, what the fuck, you guys? Like, why were you there? Right? Because nobody tends to receive that super well.
mm.
When
Yeah.
you just come at people like that. Um, Instead of just being like, hey, like assuming positive intent.
Mm.
Um, so I had noticed you guys in town, like what did you think of me or like, just being curious or what are your thoughts? Like this happened and da 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 and you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that like piece of like if I can come in owning my projections and stories, it creates such a much more safer space for us to hear each other. Like
Yeah,
there's a knowing that like I love that piece of positive intent is this knowing that I matter to you
yeah.
and you matter to me. And if there's a deep knowing and foundational sense of like we will get the space to hear each other, then
Hmm.
all of a sudden I'm not rushing to prove a point. I'm not rushing to get my words out. I have more capacity and spaciousness to hear because I know
Yeah.
my turn's going to come and we're going to treat each other with this mutual respect, right? So it's part of guiding principles and agreements and trust over time of us repairing over time, right? To be able to land in that space of like, ah, and also to be able to come with this of like, yeah, I have a charge, though, can I name that? And own my story, my judgments and projections, like own it. That's not yours, this is mine, but I'm looking for a reality check here as well. Is
Yeah.
this true? Clarity. And there's also a piece of like this anticipating needs because I do love it when my beloved anticipates my needs 100%. Though there's a fine line of being codependent, right? Of like me always like walking around the eggshells and watching, but it comes from a place of care, knowing that she is more than capable of speaking her needs because we're practicing in a world where nobody knows what their needs are. Most people don't. And we're not taught to ask for it. Oh, you're
Yeah.
selfish, you're needy, you're dependent, all the programming, right?
Yeah.
Unraveling that and also caring for, okay, I also want to anticipate my beloved's needs and this is part of attunement, right? Of tuning into her nervous system, my nervous system. This is more of an embodiment practice. And at the same time, knowing that she's capable of speaking to it as well. But I got to hold both with care. Because
Yeah.
then I can't blame people. I could. I could 100% blame people of like,
People do it
hey,
all the time.
you should have checked up on me. If you really loved me, you would check up on me, right? I could do
Right.
that. But we know that doesn't go well. We know that
No.
turns people into people pleasers and nice guys and nice gals, right? And we know the outcome of that. We know resentment, the price of that. If that person's resentful, they're going to take it out on me down the road. So, how can I just look at this and be like, you know what? I care for that. How do I speak in a way of like, how come you didn't check on me? Because if you checked on me, that means you love me. Versus, I would have loved. I so deeply long for attunement. Like when people can attune to what I need in the moment when I'm not so clear, it makes me feel
Mhm.
so seen, so heard, and safe and belong. And then at a moment, I didn't receive that, and it made me feel sad. And I was in fear, and I had stories of blah, 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 blah. So it's like turning it around instead of throwing it out there, owning my inner experience of this
Mhm.
vulnerability. And it takes layers, right? Because there's protective parts coming in, and I don't want to be vulnerable because I'm afraid of this person rejecting me. But if I can get to that tender part of me that's hurting, that feels sad, that's scared, because it wasn't cared for or considered, can I speak to that? And all of a sudden, it shifts the environment. People then lean forward naturally. They're tuning in. There's no sense of blame or judgment. There's a sense of meeting you in your authenticity, connecting to your heart, and like, oh, and I, and there's a sense of like, because you're not putting it on me, it's not demand. I do want to give. Because I care for
Because
you
I
as a
care.
friend. There's an invitation for me to be like, oh, I want to now. I want to give to you out of compassion.
I really appreciate you saying all that. I'm going through some of that with a really close friend of mine that's a woman. It's been an interesting balance as I strive to support her through recovering from people pleasing while I honor like me recovering from abandonment issues.
Oh, Yeah. I see that dynamic.
Yeah. And so it's just like this space of like deep love and respect from both of us and striving to create the space for her to like figure out what she wants in friendships as she, navigates the space of recovering from people pleasing. And I recover from like putting too much into like one person and wanting them to be all
Mm,
things for me and diversifying like how I reach out to people, but still like wanting like my dear friend to like show up in moments and to call and be like, hey, this happened. And then like when they don't follow up and check in later, it's like, oh, that stung a little, like that hurt because like I wanted that support, but I have other friends I can get support from, and it doesn't make her a bad friend, but it doesn't negate that it hurt, like right, like so it's just this
mm,
interesting like having this be like, yeah, it's okay for all of us to have that natural experience of emotions. And we get to choose how we assign value to each of the pieces and like
mm,
giving ourselves grace while we navigate it in that messiness that we talk about and ownership to be
mm.
like, yeah, like this is
Oh,
like I don't want to have expectations, but I do have
mm,
desires. And how do we not push our expectations on other people and have discernment while allowing them to have their boundaries while we have our own? And like, yeah,
mm.
it's being human together. But when you really love somebody, like you commit to that journey of personal evolution together, um, and just talk through it. I think it's important.
Yeah. This is so juicy because I'll speak to the dynamic of the people pleaser from that side
Yeah.
of the point of view of how do I care for someone without making it about me, my
Mhm.
self-worth as a man, as a partner. The
Mm,
story that I have is, oh, I'm not good enough. I gotta show up. I gotta be there. I gotta fix. I gotta problem solve. Let's
mm.
go with that.
I'm so glad that
And
we're
so,
having this conversation. I think a lot of people struggle with this.
yeah. And so I want to make my partner happy. If she's upset, I want to do something about it. But then if she's upset with me, it's like, oh shit. Like all of a sudden I make it about me and I go into shame spiral, right?
The
And all of a
shame
sudden
spiral. Yeah.
the energy shifts from when my beloved is wanting my care and attention.
Hmm.
All of a sudden I'm the one needing care and attention. There's an energetic shift here. So
Mm,
then my beloved, from the space of wanting to receive empathy, now needs to be placed in a position to give me empathy. If she
hmm.
doesn't, we're both needing empathy. What happens is we're not hearing each other and it
Hmm.
escalates to World War III. But
Right.
then if she's aware of it and she has more capacity, she shifts into what I call, if she has capacity and being careful of the caretaking role, the therapist role, being a mother, depending on
Yeah.
my wounded self coming out. And then,
Hmm.
hey, maybe she wants to shift into that, but she's not nourished yet. So at the end
Yeah.
of it, because I'm in a sharing spiral of like, oh, it's me, it's my fault. How do I figure this out? And I'm making it about me. We leave this conversation feeling icky. For her, she's feeling resentful because she brought this up. She had a grievance, and all of a sudden, like, it's about me now, and it's not resolved for her. For me, I'm like, oh my God, like, how do I be better? How do I, shame beam myself up, right? So this piece of going back to people pleasing and considerate of other people's needs, and this consideration piece means I'm not responsible for your needs, but I can care for the impact that I leave. And this is a practice for myself. So when my beloved shares a grievance that I did, there's a part of
Hmm.
me that internalizes it, of like personalizes it. It's there. I'm noticing like, oh, it's there. It's there. And then all of a sudden the shame spiral comes on. And so it's my work with having the mental or cognitive awareness of having that in the background to be like, wait a minute, it's not about me. Breathe, regulate, so I can have more of my prefrontal cortex online, so I can
Right.
apply what I've learned here in this moment, right?
You're right.
And then being like, okay, I hear you. Remember, it's not about me. What's happening here? And then not personalizing, but caring for the impact. So there's a difference between taking responsibility for it versus caring for the impact. Taking responsibility for it is taking her power away and making it on me to fix the solution. Caring for the impact is having compassion and empathy
Yeah.
and considerate of it in the future. So, okay, got it. Note taken. So I know Elysia cares for when she's in this moment. She would appreciate a check in. for example.
Yeah.
Can I tune into that, right? And be like, wait, yeah, I feel something off. There's a lot going on with her. Can I just maybe I'll just check in. There's a sense of mutual consideration, but not
Yeah.
making it my responsibility. Because
Right.
when it becomes a burden, that's when the people
Right.
pleasing comes in and then the
Yeah.
resentment comes in.
Right.
But there's trust of like, Elysia can take care of herself. She has
Hmm.
other resources. Well, I don't have the bandwidth. I don't have the capacity. So I'm not gonna, you know, I gotta care for myself as well. But if I
Right.
do, let me check in.
Yeah. So much gold there. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. I really
Hmm.
appreciate it. And you have
Yeah.
a course about conscious relating. Oh my gosh, words. Tell us
Yeah.
a little bit about like the course that you have for men around conscious relating. And I think you and your beloved
Mm.
also have a course together.
Yeah. Yeah. So conscious communication, the foundation is two major frameworks. I'd say three. Um, Positive intelligence, which is saboteur's work. It's like parts work, naming the parts of us that comes online when we're in fight or flight. A key thing is naming it because it helps me then see it, right? It creates a sense of inner authority, agency. Because it doesn't matter if I know conscious communication, if that part's driving the bus and I'm using the right mechanics, it's not going to receive well. I had my beloved saying, "You're doing that thing again, right? You're not really hearing me,
Right.
right? It's just mechanical, it's head, right?"
Right.
And my tone and my energy, my body language weaponizes the information. It's the intention and the energy matters more than the words. So, what is my intention? Is it to be right or is it to connect? So, I got to tune into that. Right. So, that's the positive intelligence. The second framework is nonviolent communication developed by Marshall Rosenberg, who was a psychologist, quit being a psychologist because he was tired of being paid to judge people and label people. And this is being used for mediations, conflict resolution all around the world. And we use the basis of having the mechanics to know how to communicate in nonviolent ways. So
Nice.
I just wasn't taught of how to communicate in ways that help people want to give to me out of their own choice versus it being demanded or feeling manipulated or coerced or
Right.
communicate in ways that people are open to listening versus me blaming, shaming, judging them. Like it's so clear, right? That when I'm angry,
Right.
I know what I'm angry about. And it's always the lack of, right? It becomes so habitual. So I got to learn the skills to communicate in ways that help people listen, right? So that's where that comes in. And
Love
then
that.
inside out is is somatic bottom up processing. And this was created, developed by my beloved Summer. And this is a way of staying with the energy because energy cannot be created or destroyed. Energy that's stuck and just cultivating presence and curiosity, and the energy moves on its own. So, where this comes in is we have a trigger scale from 1 to 10. And I always thought I went from 1 to 10 at times when I blew up, right? And it's actually not true. It's these minor inconveniences and grievances along the way that I don't speak to. And as a people pleaser, I don't want to rock the boat. Don't make waves, right? It's peaceful.
Right.
So it simmers, goes up and up and
Hmm.
up and up and up and up until it hits 7. And then something happens and I go from 7 to a 10. I blow up, right?
Just snip.
Yeah. So between 1 to 4 in the trigger scale, I can use conscious communication. It's top down. I have
Sure.
enough capacity and regulation to be able to communicate in ways that can be received. But when I'm above a 5, game over. I'm in fight or flight. So this is where bottom up processing comes in. And this is where inside out comes in of having the tool and the practice to be able to regulate myself and breathe and get myself back with clarity.
Right.
Right. So then that somatic processing is needed when I'm just way above. It's getting back to a baseline sense of security. So we take that all in and we show people really how to then start practicing that. So in our class, it's not just teachings, it's very experiential. We do it online. We have breakout rooms, there's exercises, and you practice it along the way to integrate it. So we have level one, that's more on the mechanics and the implementation of the embodiment of those mechanics. And level two is on the experience and being witness in group dynamics are worked at together. So what we find is when we can be in that somatic experience and name what's happening for us in a place where people are witnessing us without judging, fixing, or giving us advice or coddling us, we come to our own conclusion and wisdom.
Nice.
We become empowered. We become
Yeah.
like a place where I've learned the mapping of being able to communicate this of what's happening in my inner world to the people around me, and they're able to meet me. So it becomes a different way of communicating. People think communicating is getting someone to do something. Maybe that'll work, you know, but in intimate relationships, it doesn't work so well. It then shifts to how am I communicating what's happening in my inner reality, my inner world,
Mm,
and allowing people to meet that. Then magic happens.
that's beautiful. Thank you
Mm.
so much for providing that service for humanity. It
Yeah.
is desperately needed.
Mhm.
You also have a men's group that meets once a month, is that right? The
Yeah.
revolving.
So there's
So
an
you just had it
online
on the
container.
13th, right?
Yeah, like there's a few. There's a online container that's
Mhm.
once a week in the evenings,
Nice.
and then here in the Edmonton area, I host in-person circles twice a month, and then
Cool.
retreats here and there. Though the weekly men's group that's online, I'm currently building it. It's coming to form. It's a 6 month container. There's a curriculum coming in. Essentially, it's it's a rites of passage of stepping into uh, my inner child, my boy psychology, being aware of that,
Nice.
and then connecting it to uh, tools, experiences, and practices to basically put that boy into its rightful place with the king, with the man
Nice.
psychology. So it's a process of maturing the psychology. It's a process of growing up with men and using men's work. And people are like, what's men's work? It's just tools and techniques and practices that resonate with what men are going through culturally, socially, um, based on our biological makeup, right? Just,
Can you give us some examples?
yeah, physical movement, a great way of like, getting into the body. They always say the man, longest distance a man has to travel is from the head to the heart. So we found that with physical movement, shaking, working out, helps men drop into their direct felt experience. Another piece is using a direction oriented language instead of just questions that get me into my head. Because I'd say most people are trained to live in here. We're over indexed in our heads. The
For
key
sure.
piece of the work is to connect this to the body, to the
Yeah.
soma, to somatic intelligence. There's a lot of information, emotions as part of it that are stored here that we're not tapping into, right?
Yeah.
And so there's a disconnection in our lives. So using direction oriented language is like, what do you notice in your body, right? What are you experiencing right now? Take a breath into that and say what's happening inside. So this language helps someone move from cognitive processing to naming their inner experience and following the energy trail. And what starts to happen is there's a sense of inner agency, a sense of separation and spaciousness, and a sense of
Nice.
nervous system ease that comes with it. So a sense of inner power gets created from it versus being stuck up here and ruminating on things and getting lost. And then the wisdom just bubbles up on its own when we can get out of our way. So those are a few examples.
Thank you. That sounds like really powerful and functional work to be getting to offer to people.
Hmm. Yeah.
So where can people find you for the work that you're doing?
Yeah. You can find me on Facebook. I know this is being streamed on Facebook. Elysia, I know will tag me on it, though
I
my name,
will.
Andre Lam on Facebook. You can also find me there on Instagram and LinkedIn by the same name. We also have a school called the Relational Wisdom School, and a
So cool.
website is www.relationalwisdomschool.com. And you can find all our information, the work that we do on that website.
Fantastic. And really importantly, I love to end our interviews with who inspires you in the world today.
Wow. Yeah, I would say present moment and here and now for me. There's so many. There's so many. Hmm. Who inspires me? Hmm. I'd say right now, like my mentor Michael Gay inspires me. He's a psychotherapist, a wilderness guide, been doing it in this work, men's work, for quite some time. And what really inspires me is his attunement to the spiritual world in a way where he speaks to it in a grounded and practical way.
That's cool.
Yeah. And there's some wizardry and some magical essence in how he presents this information, like how to tune into the heart and the gut in a way that helps the mind be at ease. So I love for more of that. To be able to use language that allows people to be at ease, to explore and be curious about the edges in life, about
Yeah.
maybe what hasn't been proven by science yet. Like, why not give it a shot and let the experience inform the mind?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. We'll have to get that information and put it into the details on the
Mm,
YouTube video that we'll post up. Well, Andre, thank you so much for being with us here today.
yeah, my
And
pleasure.
I look forward to getting to post it up and have more people hopefully find you. For everybody watching, like throughout this time or in the future, thank you so much for joining us today. You can find more like interviews and resources at globalresourcesformen.com, also on IG at Global Resources for Men. So until next time, we'll see you
Mm,
later.
be well.
Thanks, everybody.